Welcome to week 2. This is not law school, but we are going to have to learn a little bit about the law, and more specifically the legal standards that direct our actions in strategic communication or public relations. Let's start with chapter 1 in our primary text, where our authors have this quote: "Law is about what people must do, while ethics is about what people should do." In other words, do the right thing for the right reasons. Now, there are 4 principles that are fundamental to apply at least the application theory of law. And these include access, process, truth, and disclosure. So while you're learning about ethics this term, and more importantly, if you deal with ethics in your organization, think about those and think about how they apply to doing the right thing for the right reasons. All right, one of our articles is from Key and Kim, and they talk about the importance and utility of establishing ethics statements. This ethics statement, when you write one, it's a process that kind of helps clarify objectives, norms and values, and it also helps organizations achieve their business goals. There is a positive correlation between ethics statements and ethical behavior. So it's not just an exercise in writing up an ethical statement, training the organizational members. It really does apply to the bottom line, and there's solid research to support that. Another article that we'll look at this week from Key, Choi, and Lee, their research was designed to assess the effectiveness of public relations firms' ethics statements and the decrease in the incidence of malpractice. They used 4 scenarios that included a situation in which a person feels pressure to take action that are not consistent with what he or she feels is right. And one of the quotes that they found is that public relations practitioners working in a firm with an ethics statement and who had also learned about the contents of the ethics statement were more likely to engage in more ethical practices. The takeaway there is it's not enough just to have an ethics statement, put it out on an email, publish it on the website. The organizational members need to understand that ethics statement and, more importantly, their role in proper ethics within the organization. Our final article this week is from Bowen. Bowen talks about the practical model for ethical decision-making in issues management as well as public relations. Now, you may know that issues management frequently handles ethical dilemmas through the identification of issues, research, analysis, and the making of organization-wide policy decisions. This research examines that process at 2 global pharmaceutical firms, and then they pose a practical model for ethical decision-making. How do you make decisions ethically within an organization? And they base all that on an issues management process that is used within those organizations. Now, the author also talks about something known as an ethical conscience of the organization. And the author posits that public relations people, public affairs practitioners, strategic communication advisors, whatever the title happens to be, they often serve as the ethical conscience. Now, my experience has been that the public affairs officer, along with the legal advisor, whether it's the judge advocate general, the legal counsel, whatever their title is, we tend to be 2 sides of the same coin as it relates to ethical conscience for the organization. If you've worked in an organization, especially larger organizations in public relations, you've also found most likely that your legal staff, you need to be in good coordination, good communication, and have great relationships with that legal staff because you depend upon one another, especially as you both play an important role as the ethical conscience of the organization. All right, one figure that I'll recommend on page 93 of that Bowen article, there's a good model in there of ethical issues management. And so as you read through that article, pay a little bit more attention to that model in figure 1. I think that you might find that it will help apply some of the theory that we're learning and more importantly, help apply to the ethical issues in your own organization. Okay, I'll say it every week. Stay ahead with your assignments, stay engaged in the discussion board, and most importantly, enjoy this time of learning.